With the official game soon to be launching, I decided to finally make a price prediction video, and what better to predict rather than the premium players. Everyone will love a cheeky underpriced premium. For example, Haaland and Kane, in my opinion, last year were underpriced, while Heung-min Son was heavily overpriced because he didn't perform and he was 12.0, which was heavily overpriced. This year, I believe there will be some price adjustments. We will see that in a minute, but before jumping in, feel free to subscribe to my channel. All of your help is much appreciated. Comment down below if you feel that I'm not pricing them correctly. Put down your prices in the comment section, give a like to the video, and now let's go and see those price predictions. We will be starting with the one player that I think that was heavily overpriced last year, Heung-min Son. He didn't have a very good season, and I believe he will remain as a midfielder, but his price will be reduced a lot. I believe that he will be around the 10.5 mark. He may even go down even lower to 10.0, but he didn't finish so badly last season. He was scoring some goals, he was making some assists, and even though Spurs were not very good, Son played alright, and I believe that he won't be under 10 million for sure. But if he goes over 10.5, I don't see anyone picking him unless he becomes a very viable option under the new coach. But for the start of the season, 10.5 is the maximum I will be willing to pay for Heung-min Son. He just drops into that mid-premium bracket. For the likes of some players like Vardy in the past, you couldn't afford him because he was neither a premium nor okay priced forward, and you were almost never going with Vardy. I believe the same case will be with Son this year. I don't see him being picked a lot. If Harry Kane stays, he will be very good option, but not be as good as Harry Kane, even if Kane is more expensive. But last year Kane was cheaper and he was into almost everyone's team, and Son was just left behind because he is not worth 12 million like last year. 10.5 is a reasonable price. Maybe fill him with another premium and go with spreading the budget, but for me he is a no-go just because he is not performing really well. And under the new coach, if Harry Kane is not staying, there are too many variables that are not yet to be decided. But yeah, for the price, guessing 10.5 in my opinion, and let's see if that's bang on. Next up is the best defender in my opinion in FPL. He will remain a defender for sure, 99.9%, because Klopp wants to deploy him as a right back and then move him into the midfield. Trent will be and the most expensive defender once again, and in my opinion he will be 7.5. I don't believe that he had a great season, so he will be going up, or too bad of a season to going down. I believe 7.5 will be the ideal price for him. I remember when he first reached that price, I thought that this was too expensive, but now it doesn't seem so, because defenders are one of the main parts in everyone FPL's team right now. Not like in the past that you fill your team with 4.5 fodder. You are just now playing with caution when choosing your defenders, because they're pretty important and they can boost your rank a lot if you get the right one. And I believe Trent will be in everyone's game week 1 team. He'll have a heavy ownership, not like Haaland still last year, but a lot percentages will be on this player. And I believe for a price of 7.5 this will be very reasonable, and in my opinion, if you can pick him, even if you don't like Liverpool and how they're playing, I believe that Trent will be one of the best starters for your game week 1 squads. Next up is the first premium goalkeeper that we're going to discuss. It's Ederson. Ederson had an okay season. City were not keeping a lot of clean sheets. He was left on the bench on some occasion because Stefan was playing Ortega on his position, and if he is a rotation risk or becoming a rotation risk, you never know. With City, Ederson was the most nailed player in their side for several seasons, but now with Ortega coming into the side and maybe wanting some more game time, maybe Ederson will be a little bit saved or something like that. But yeah, I'm afraid that he can be rotated, but for his price being 5.5, I see that as a reasonable price. I don't see him as such a threat from Ortega, but yeah, 5.5 maximum. If he's over that, Fantasy are just declining their experience from last year when they reduced the premium goalkeepers prices, and I believe that was a very good decision, and they were picked even more because in the past they did not see a very high ownership just because their price was so high to begin with. But yeah, if he's 5.5, he becomes a viable option, especially with their good fixture run at the start. But 5.5 is the maximum that I'm giving this goalkeeper to be priced because I believe FPL will have reap the benefits from reducing their price and they will continue on doing so. Next up is Harry Kane. He is most probably my favorite player from last season. I owned him for almost every purple patch that he had, but he was scoring for fun. He scored in like 20 plus different games and he was on the score sheet. If not being on the score sheet, he was providing assists. I think that he blanked in like 7 or 8 games, which is pretty good number, and some of the blanks were at the start of the season like almost every year. But if Harry Kane starts scoring, he will not stop scoring. I believe his price this year will be 12.5 because last year he was underpriced and I enjoyed that. But at the end of the season, his price was not as high as Haaland for say, even though they started together. But I believe with his points output and being so close to Haaland's points, we will leave Harry Kane around the 12.5 mark for sure. I believe that it's a reasonable price, and if it's that the price, I will pay it for sure because. And big if Harry Kane stays in the Prem, I believe that he will be staying because he wants to break Alan Shearer record. If he breaks it, he will leave for sure for trophies. But he is so close to seasons 3 maximum and he will be breaking the record. But then he will be older and he won't be able to win as many trophies. But I don't know what he prefers, but if Bayern Munich come knocking on the door, he may just go there. If not, Spurs for me will hold of him and he will be playing next season in the Prem and he will be viable option for your starting lineup, most probably next to Haaland. Next up is the second goalkeeper on the list. It's Alisson. I believe his price will be the same as Ederson. If they're over 5.5, they will be together over 5.5. If they're 5.5, they will be both 5.5. I believe that he will be getting the recognition of playing this year for many teams because he is cheap enough now. He's not 6 million or 6.5 or something eccentric. But yeah, 5.5 for me seems a little bit too much for a starting goalkeeper, even though it's as good as Alisson, who is making save, but his limit is not very high. If he concedes a goal, basically Liverpool concede 1 or 2 shots. If one is in and he makes 1 save, it's 2 points for him. But if he keeps a clean sheet, it's basically 6 points. So the ceiling is not high, but he's gaining regularly 6 points, and he was the second most scoring goalkeeper last year after Raya, who I think will have an upgrade of the price, but it's not talking about Raya right now. I believe Alisson will remain 5.5 as well as Ederson. I believe he's even a better option because he's not threatened by the number 2. He will be playing for sure, and if you want to go for a premium goalkeeper, Alisson is the best choice for you, even though the fixture is not good as City's. He will be your goalkeeper through the whole of the season, even though he is blocking a spot for a Liverpool player, which I don't like, but it is what it is. Goalkeepers tend to be worse before, but now they're becoming better and better, and Alisson is even making assists in some games, and he scored a goal 2 years ago or 3 years ago, was it? Yeah, 3 almost. So yeah, Alisson is a very good option, but for me, he will be expensive even at 5.5. Next up is a Manchester United player, and it's Bruno Fernandes. I believe that he will be getting a 10.5 price this year. He was playing very good last year, but I don't believe he will be going as high as KDB, let's say. Even though his points were there, I don't see him being priced as high. 10.5 maximum 11, but 10.5 is my prediction. I believe that next year he will be even more a no-go because Rashford price will be higher and everyone will be picking Rashford, but he will be cheaper than Bruno. Last year you can double up on Bruno and Rashford for several occasions and you are spending like 17 million, and this season I believe that it will cost you around 20 to get both in the team, so it will be very hard to fit in both of them. And if you have to choose one, even though Rashford is not on penalties, he is scoring more goals. Let's see who Manchester United will be buying, because if they buy Mount, he will be playing with Bruno together as both as a 10 or Bruno will be on the right wing, and he is very attacking there, and he is having a very mixed look there, but as a 10 he was better. Let's see how their preseason will go, if Mount is bought and who will play where, because Anthony Sancho will be a threat to him if he's on the right wing. But if they want to play with two eights, being Bruno and Mount, they may suffer a little bit. Rashford starting for sure, so I don't see Bruno having a lot of space, maybe be rotated a little bit. So for a price as medium bracket, just like Son, he is a no-go for me, because I like to spend my millions on an 8 million, 9 and 12 plus, not on 10, because if you sell him, you can only have one option of buying someone, and it's not as good, because if sell Bruno, it's either going lower or going for Son. So yeah, very very strange position, that 10.0 plus million to 11, because they're a little bit a no-go, but a go, yeah, I am staying away for them for now. But yeah, the price for me, he will be 10.5 for the start of the season. Next up is the best defender from last season, Trippier. Trippier was a very very good choice, and he was not blanking for like 10 weeks in a row, and even if they're finishing 1-0 to Newcastle, he was getting 9 points, which was amazing. He was not injured last season, not like the season before. He was scoring some goals, he was providing a lot of assists, he's a bonus point magnet, and I believe that his price will rise up to 6.5, and he will be one of the most expensive defenders next season. He was so good. If he's 6.5 under it, sorry, I believe that he will be underpriced, but he will not be 5.5 like last year for sure, because yeah, he is good. And I believe that he was even 5.0. I can't remember to be exact on the points, but he will be 6.5 in my opinion. Newcastle will have a very rough start of the season, and he may be a no-go for the start, but after the first wild card, he may become a very good option once again, because their fixtures turn a little bit greener, and you will be able to rack up those clean sheet points and some goal and bonus points from Trippier next season. Next up is, in my opinion, the best footballer in the Prem right now. It's KDB. I believe that his price will be 12.0. I see him as a big threat, even though he will be missing the start of the season because of the injury he got in the Champions League final, so he won't be picked in many teams. But when the season kicks in and when City are having tough fixtures, he will be the guy to get them out, even though it's not good to stack up on players when they have bad fixtures. Kevin De Bruyne seems to get them out of them. He's scoring for fun against Chelsea, against Arsenal, against United, against everyone, and he is missing some points against the small teams, which is pretty ironic. But yeah, KDB is a very good player, even though he's injured. 12.0 price seems pretty reasonable. Last year he was that, and he was getting a lot more points. If you can fit him in, good for you, but in my opinion, he will be expensive for my liking, because I like to have more scoring players to put that price on. But for sure I will be owning him at one point or another during the season, not just not for the start, sorry, because he will be injured. He may miss only one game week, but spending a 12.0 and then missing a game, it's a not very good start of the season. So yeah, I will try to move away from him, and will try to pick him when his form becomes better. The final defender for those prediction, I believe Robertson will have a price fall, because he is playing as a third row center back, and he was not providing very high numbers last season. He is joining the attack, but not as usual as before, and he will be price reduced for sure. In my opinion, 6.5 will be his price, and he will be matched against Trippier, and I believe Trippier will be having the upper hand. I may be wrong, I may see that as a thing because he's not joining the attack as much. He's playing, let's say, a Ben White role from last year, but on the other side. And yeah, he will remain in Liverpool's side, starting 11, because he is too clever not and too good not to be there. But he will be price reduced, so he may be up for grabs if they decide to change their system once again. And if he starts playing more forward, and for 6.5, he will be a bargain for sure, and he will be considered underpriced by the FPL. And let's hope he's 6.5. But for the start of the season, I'm liking more Trent, even though he will be more expensive. But his positioning on the build up and the attacking position is better than Robertson, even though Robertson as well takes set pieces, not as many as Trent, so that's one more thing in favor of Trent. So yeah, Robertson, I believe he will be priced down, but he will be a no-go for me regardless. We are getting to the best players from FPL, and I believe that Haaland was the best player last season. He was not my favorite because he was not gaining a lot points for my team because he was so heavily owned, but I captained him in some occasions when he was not captained as highly as in other game weeks, and he got me some points. So let's discuss him. I believe that he will be 13.0 millions because he was not having a record-breaking season. I don't believe that he will go higher than 13 million. If I am wrong, even if the price is higher, I believe that I will be picking him because they have a pretty good start of the season and he will be nailed for sure because he's Haaland and he's the best striker in the Prem. Maybe similar to Kane, but he's the hottest striker right now and he's scoring goals for fun. His numbers were terrifically good, and a price rise to 13.0 million is very deserved, but higher than that, I don't think so. 13.0, let's believe it's that, and let's hope for the best. And if I know that regardless of the price, he will be over 8% owned because he is that good. But let's hope to save a little bit money from him and not go as high as 14 or 13.5 million. And the final player we are discussing is the King Mo Salah. I believe that his price will be the same as last year, 12.5. He had an okay season by his standards, but it wasn't something exceptional to rise his price. 12.5 seems very reasonable for him, and he may be missing a lot of first game week drafts because everyone wants to own more mid-priced players like 8.0 midfielders from Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Manchester United, and etc. Brighton even, but Mo Salah is Mo Salah, and I believe that he will be having a banger of a season once again. And with the new system being trend more and more and more, and he having a longer summer break than usual, it will be very, very good for him, and he will be playing out of his skin once again. As already mentioned, if you enjoyed the content, please subscribe to the channel. If you have any other suggestions to the prices and think I'm not reasonable, please write them down in the comment section, give a like to the video, and I hope to see you next time with more preseason FPL content. But for now guys, I will be heading out. Bye!